You're listening to Masters Decoded podcast series. I'm your host and the chief decoder, Anis Merchant. Through this podcast, I bring in guests who are successful in a different walk of life to decode and map out their careers and journeys with the hope that we gain all our learnings. The world around us is changing exponentially, and how the impact of artificial intelligence, technology, and other socioeconomic factors have either influenced or enhanced my guests' careers.
Okay, this is not my voice. I wanted to try how good artificial intelligence is at sounding real. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of inviting Adel Wilson. Adel holds a master's degree in psychology from Columbia University and earned her undergraduate degree in social sciences from New York University, graduating both with honors. She is the founder and CEO of Celebrity Media Group, a media and marketing agency based in the New York City area. Her latest best-selling book is entitled, Celebrity Media Secrets: 7 Simple Steps to Present with Power, Poise, and Style on Camera. Get booked on TV, amp, media and become a celebrity in your industry. Adel has trained over 14,000 people from all walks of life, from CEOs and physicians to attorneys, actors, and educators, and has been cast in countless productions including commercials, television shows, radio, film, corporate videos, print ads, and voiceovers. Without much further ado, let me get on with it.
Hi Adele, welcome to Masters Decoded podcast series. Thanks for taking time out.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Anis. It's such a pleasure being on your show. This is very exciting. Thank you for having me.
Likewise, and congratulations on your new book, Celebrity Media Secrets.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. Celebrity Media Secrets: 7 Simple Steps to Present with Power, Poise, and Style on Camera. Get booked on TV and media and become a celebrity in your industry.
So how can I become a celebrity? Let's talk more about that, right? Like what are the tips and
Oh, all
tricks?
right.
Yeah.
We're going to dig right in. I
Yeah.
like this. I like this. Well, I have 7 steps. I have a 7-step methodology that I utilize with my coaching clients. It's obviously in my book. And so yeah, we can cover a few of those things. By the way, you're already a celebrity, Annie.
Okay, thank you.
I'll share some of these with my pleasure. I'll share some of these tips. But a celebrity I use synonymously with thought leader, with subject matter expert, with go-to expert. And so I use those words interchangeably.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that I talk about in my book and my coaching is the idea of having your mind right,
Hmm.
having the right mindset,
Hmm.
right? And so, a lot of media coaches, or most media coaches, even the top ones that I've been to in Hollywood and New York, they'll do a lot of they have their own methodology, but typically it incorporates you just throwing you on camera and saying go. They might review your script a little bit, but so I what I've done is I've created a system that I kind of wish someone would have created for me.
Nice.
And yeah, and so mindset is really, really important. And so it's about visualizing how you want to be perceived. It's about starting off your day perhaps with meditation And so, yeah, and prayer is a form of meditation. But just to get started, and by the way, that 5 minutes or being fidgety, that's completely normal for most, especially entrepreneurs. We're on the go. You have your podcast, you have your family, you have your business. There's so many things happening simultaneously. So just to try to start off your day that way and to try to wind up your day before you go to bed at night and just think about what did you accomplish? What would you like to accomplish the next day is a great form. There's another thing that I also do within mindset, which is vision boards.
Hmm.
I don't
Interesting.
know if you've ever, yes. So vision boards now, they take a little bit longer in use, but what you can do is I say, pick up a poster at your local shop and gather around a few magazines and newspapers and give yourself a few hours if you can. If you don't have a few hours all at once, then I would divide it into a couple of days, maybe over a 5-day period, and maybe give yourself the gift of 30 to 60 minutes a day where it's just you put a little bit of music on,
Yeah.
right, in the background, and start to imagine, start to create in your mind where you'd like to see your life go over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years,
Hmm.
for yourself, for your business, the impact you'd like to make in the world, for your family, maybe the homes you'd like to have, maybe the travel locations you'd like to go to, maybe another trip to Punta Cana, maybe
Definitely.
another trip to the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so putting those images in front of you, because that will also conjure up feelings of positivity and that will give you that boost of charisma that you need, because celebrities always have that charisma, right? But
Hmm.
before they go on camera, there's always like an energy about them that's contagious. And so we can create that energy by creating that vision board. And once it's done, and then you create, just put phrases around, you put pictures that make you happy, images, words, um, anything that, um, images of people that you admire,
Hmm.
that you aspire to be. And once you're done with your vision board, and it can always be a work in progress. I've had one that I started literally like 13 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, and by the way, it's amazing at how many things have actually come true from some of the pictures and images that
Hmm.
I've placed on there. But of course, I don't want to, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Secret.
Yes, I have.
You have. So I love The Secret. And but one thing that it was missing is it's not just about the visualization, it's about the work, right? So
Yep.
you put the images on there, but then you have to work towards it. And so that's really important to kind of put together. And whenever I'm working with my coaching clients, no matter what we're working on, their marketing, getting on camera, and I try to work on all 7 elements: media, marketing, everything. We start with mindset, and I always say it's one of the first assignments we do is that vision board,
Hmm.
and it's one of the things that is the most impactful,
I agree.
because if you want to grow, you agree. I love that, because if you want to grow your business, you want to be better on camera, you want to elevate your brand, you have to start with yourself. You have to start up here. You're the source of your business, your podcast, your show, right? And so you have to take command of your presence, and you have to take command of how you present yourself, whether on an audio podcast or whether
Hmm.
on video, on TV. And so that's the first step.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
So I'll share a secret. I've had a coach.
Yeah.
This was 2 years ago, and I did draw my vision board as part of that
Oh,
exercise.
nice.
Um,
Oh, I love it.
and yeah, I decided to keep it, and it's a great vision board. And I look at it often. I've not kept it
Yes.
yet and taken a big print out, and I really want to do it one day and put it up so that I energize myself
Yes,
on that. But no,
absolutely.
so I don't want you
It's
to.
great right before you go on your show.
Yeah,
Look at that vision board and you say, this is who I am. You have
definitely.
to remind yourself, especially when you're having a down day, because we all have our days, right?
Every day.
And so,
Yes.
right. Well, yeah, I feel like the last few months has been a little rough, but that helps you kind of get out of that. And what you're doing, your life's work with your podcast, is bringing that, you're uplifting your community
Yep.
worldwide. You have
Yep.
such a beautiful impact.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of feed that well before you can give to others. So
Yeah.
I love that you're doing that. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I would not want you to share everything in your book so that people can go in and actually buy the book. I think that first
Yeah.
step was, I'm sure it will be motivating for others to go ahead and look at your book. But, you know, this
Yes.
podcast is all about you. Now, you spoke about being a coach, but you're not just a
I
coach.
spoke about,
Being a coach,
oh, yes, that's right.
you're not
Yes.
just a coach. I've done a little bit research about you. You have
Okay.
acted in advertisements, you've turned up on shows, you are an actor,
Yeah.
and you do acting. You coach a lot of celebrities, you coach a lot of entrepreneurs. You've written 3 books now.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Question is, when do you have time? How do you manage your time with so many
Oh my
priorities and
gosh.
so many different personas which you're putting together within yourself?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So within the services that we offer at Celebrity Media Group, there's coaching. I make time obviously to promote and to meet with wonderful people like you on podcasts and share my knowledge. And I think it's important to make time for the things that you love to do and to prioritize
Mm-hmm.
and to be flexible, because once you're trying to get your brand out, it's important to be able to communicate that on every level. So through a book, I always talk about step 2 in my 7-step process is message. So it's the importance of sharing your message with the world. So I have to lead by example, right? So that's what I try to do, so that, in creating my own personal brand and in creating personal brands for my clients, I like to say, okay, it's not just do what I say
Okay.
and not what I do. It's about doing what I hopefully can share and suggest, but also following in my footsteps if you're looking to create a personal brand. So I think it's just about prioritizing your time, being flexible. Like look at us right now. I think it's 10 something p.m. in India.
Yeah.
It's about 12 something here in New Jersey on the East Coast in the United States. But we've made time
Yep.
for each other. And so you're making a sacrifice. And I typically don't do podcasts this early, but I try to have blocks of time
Mm-hmm.
where I'm doing research. Like I typically don't see clients on Mondays.
Okay.
I try to keep Mondays and Fridays open, and I try to do Tuesdays through Thursdays. But every once in a while, you have to be flexible. You have different hours. I have a client that's out in Hawaii.
Okay.
So her hours are also very different than mine. And so I think it's about flexibility, and it's about being passionate about what you do and being open and prioritizing your time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I try to block my time out.
Wow.
So
That's
yes.
that's impressive that you're able to have these different personas of your own self and manage others also through that entire exercise. But if I
Thank you.
rewind a little bit from where you are today,
Yeah.
you are a psychology major, and or you did your undergrad in psychology, and
Undergraduate as well as my
but
master's, yes, in psychology.
now when you did that, did you have a focus
Yeah.
that you would be doing what you're doing today?
Ever done that in the history of donut?
You want to know what's really funny is I kind of did.
Okay.
I wasn't sure. So I knew for a fact that I wanted to be on TV.
Okay.
I also knew for a fact that I wanted to be a speaker.
Okay.
I knew for a fact that I wanted to write a book.
Nice.
I didn't know how it would all, yes, I didn't know how it would all come together, to be honest. When I was in school, I loved speaking and I loved running and conducting workshops. I've taught over 14,000 people now over the years,
Yep.
from doctors and lawyers and CEOs and actors, you name it. But yeah, I had that vision, believe it or not. And I wrote down my goals when I was in college. And I still every once in a while reference them, and it kind of puts a smile on my face when one of my goals was to become an actor and a speaker. And I see it from years ago. And here it is. But it's about working slowly towards those goals. But I've always had a love for psychology because I've always had a curiosity about human behavior and what makes people tick,
Mm.
and kind of helping them elevate their spirit, their, in order to help them become more industrious, in order to help them become more productive. I thought for a moment that I might pursue, for a while, I thought I would pursue a doctoral program in psychology, and I was going to focus on industrial psychology, which, as you know, is kind of the psychology of business.
Yes.
And so I'm sort of doing that now,
Mhm.
but without the industrial psychology PhD, if that makes sense.
No, it's great that you had your life chalked out of this is what you, not chalked out in a
Yeah.
way, but you had that vision board that this is what you want to be in the future.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely, I did.
so how did, like, I'm sure your friends, family, when you spoke to them about this, how did they react? What did they say about, and they'll go for it, or really?
Yeah.
Like, what was that
Hmm. That's a great question. Do you mean go for it as far as my
goals?
entrepreneurial
No, the goals of
goals?
being an actor, being an anchor, writing a
Oh,
book.
Lord. That's very funny. Well, I think I can share that I probably have had multiple reactions. So, my father, God bless his soul, who passed a little over 6 months ago, actually, from complications of COVID.
Sorry to hear
And he
that.
was everything. Yes, thank you so much. And he was everything to me. And, but he was a physician.
Oh,
So
wow.
his training was very different.
Okay.
Yeah. And very academic. And, I lived my life just in awe of him. And I was his only girl, right? And so, I have 4 older brothers, and we all kind of ventured into different fields. But I always wanted to make sure that I honored my father and my mother, and that I would make them proud,
Mhm.
because they came to the United States as immigrants from the Dominican Republic, and my father was one of the first physicians from the Dominican Republic back in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah, and he set up a practice in New York City, and did very well. My mom managed his practice, but I say all this to say that the expectations were high, and so it was important to me to do the academic thing, if you will,
Mhm.
and go to some of the top schools. And when I graduated from NYU, when I graduated with honors, graduated from Columbia, graduated with honors, I just wanted to say, here you go.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to do what I want to do.
Nice one.
Right? And so, yeah. Because I wanted them to have that bragging right to their friends, like, oh, my daughter went to an Ivy League school. She did very well, but now I want to do some TV. Now I want to do,
Yeah.
what I want to do. But always with honor and with the utmost respect. And you know what my father said to me? He said, and this kind of gave me the green light. He said to me, when you were a little girl, you used to love to play teacher and used to love to play TV host. So maybe that's what you should pursue. And that gave me the green light, because if he could say that, then I said, I'm comfortable pursuing it. So,
Hmm.
but there were other naysayers, trust me. There are a lot of people that are like, are you crazy? This is such a crazy business.
Yes.
Um,
And
and it is, by the way.
it is, and
And
it's
it
a
is a
tough one.
crazy business.
It is a
It sure
tough
is.
one.
It is.
And there are movies which talk about people who live that life. So,
Yes.
and it's a tough one because there are a lot of people who aspire.
Yeah.
There are a lot of individuals who come from different background, who want to
Yes.
do a lot of things and become big. Now, what were
Right.
those initial years like when you were trying to get in? Was it easy, a cakewalk, as they say, or definitely it was not?
A cakewalk. So what I will also say is in all honesty, I did start when I was about 5 years old. My mom put my mother um, who is a very beautiful woman, but she's also an entrepreneur in her own right. So she ran my father's practice, but she also did real estate and real estate development and investment, that sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, but so when I was a little girl and I was her only child, her only girl, although the other ones were boys, um, she put me in a pageant. Now my mom herself has
Wow.
been in pageants, and so yeah, and so she enjoys that sort of thing. So she put me in a pageant, but I quickly realized I didn't like pageants, but I liked being in the spotlight. So I enjoyed doing fashion shows, and so she put me in modeling school and acting school, and I did plays here and there. But it wasn't until I took it seriously. It was right after college, after graduate school.
Hmm.
And, because I didn't want to disappoint my father by focusing on that before. And, so I waited a little bit.
Okay.
I waited. But once I did, it's funny, I graduated and within about a month, I was hosting my own TV show in New York, which is kind of crazy to say. But I went to a party. My cousin's girlfriend at the time had said to me, "Oh, I heard that you just graduated." And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Oh, this is wonderful." She's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, I want to host my own TV show." And she said to me, it was such a random conversation. And she says to me, "You know what? I have a friend who's a photographer who has a friend who's a producer, and he's looking for a host for his TV show.
Mhm.
I'm going to introduce you."
Okay.
And I thought she was joking. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm sure." I'm like, "Oh, she's just saying that to be nice. She's my cousin's girlfriend." And, we exchanged numbers. We had the conversation. And literally the next week, she's like, "Adele, hey," she's like, "remember me?" She's like, I talked to the photographer. He said, we can meet with him this week." And so we met with the photographer. He's like, "This is great. You have a great look for the show. I'm going to call my friend right now." And that was it. I auditioned for his friend, and within a few weeks, I was hosting a bilingual entertainment show in New York, and it was shown here as well as in New York, in the tri-state area, so New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, as well as the Dominican Republic,
Wow.
which is where the producer was from. So yeah, and then from there, I just started auditioning for commercials, for advertisements, as you said,
Definitely.
advertisements, and and yeah, and then I started getting agents.
Hmm.
So your agents are there to
Yep.
help you book shows and work. So voiceovers, TV commercials, TV shows, that sort of thing. And of course, they take a commission from that. But yeah, I just started doing a lot of research about the business, and I was my very first agent. And yeah, it just went from there. And I wound up having, I think it was like 7 agents and 2 managers. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's good for you. Now, I think
it was very good.
that experience got you to probably help others do what you're doing,
Yes,
what you did that time. Okay. So I have,
absolutely.
like, I started with a question, okay, how can I become a celebrity? But let's say, and I can tell
That's
you
right.
very openly that I'm camera shy. Now, there are many other people who are camera shy, who would be having stage fears,
Yeah, yeah.
or who would have,
Right.
who would have cold feet or sweaty palms and all of those inertias
Yeah.
build up. Yeah.
It's all normal, by the way,
Yes.
Anise. All of those things you just described is completely normal, no matter if they're an entrepreneur, if they're a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So how do you make a person ready when they are not ready?
No,
Yeah.
I
no,
think
no,
that's the
no,
big
Oh, I
difference.
love that.
Yeah.
They're never ready. In their mind, by the way, in their mind, they're not ready. And then you know what's funny? Some people think they're ready and they're not. So
Okay.
I have to stop them like, no, 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 don't turn the camera on yet because you're actually not ready to go. So that's actually funny you say that. Oh my gosh. Well, I started out with the first one. So mindset, like what I say, like that is literally how I get them started. Because so mindset is one.
Mhm.
Then you have to work on your message. So what is the message you want to convey to your audience? So you have to work on crafting that message. And sometimes I talk a lot about your 30-second elevator pitch because it also helps you with your media friendly message. Because although you and I may have 30 or 60 minutes for an interview, if someone wants to become a celebrity in their industry, a thought leader, subject matter expert, they want to start to promote their brand on their local news channels, um, and they typically don't have more than 2.5 to 3 minutes, right?
Right.
And so maybe if they want to bring me on to talk about my book, I have to figure out how to entertain, educate, and also inform them and have a call to action all within 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, and so that is part of what I help my clients do and help them craft that. So I always talk in terms of, once you've got your mind right, so you're feeling good, and you're feeling good because now you visualized yourself on set. You visualize the interviewer smiling back at you, enjoying the information that you're sharing, your knowledge or expertise with their audience, with them. You envision them smiling and enjoying. You envision the audience looking back at you, enjoying the content. Like right now I'm with you, but I'm also envisioning your audience on the other end.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can feel my spirit and my energy, even if it's just through the audio.
Definitely they would.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. And so, yeah, it's about that. And so it's about, who are you and who do you help and how do you do that? But who are you and who do you help? My name is Adel Wilson. I'm a media coach and marketing strategist, and I help entrepreneurs and professionals present with power, poise, and style on camera, get booked on TV and media, and become a celebrity in your industry. Now that's my 30-second elevator pitch. But if I'm being interviewed on a quick show, like it's a 2.5 minutes, and they're like, Adele, tell us about what you do. That's what I open with. But it's memorized, it's down pat. If I have to shorten it to make it a 15-second, I can do that. And so it's just about knowing your message and then crafting your image and your brand, right? Celebrities have a look, right?
So I want to double click on this look, because
talk to me.
How important is the look? Because today, a lot of folks, they may dress well. I would say they may dress well, or they may not dress well, but their knowledge is, you would see a lot of doctors, I'm just maybe I'm doing some typecasting here, but I'm not. But, there are a lot of people who have that intellect horsepower, whom you would want to listen to, get guidance to. But if you look at them in a public, you would never see that person has that kind of knowledge, or it's somebody whom you would want to talk to. Versus somebody, they may dress well, but it's not just about the look, but when they open their mouth, as they say, you don't want to talk to them, or they don't have that level of depth. So how do you balance both? How do you plan both, and how do you manage both?
I love that question, Anise. And I'll tell you what, you manage it because you're crafting it. You don't just wake up and figure out what your image or your brands are. It's something that you create. And hopefully you create it with a coach. That would be, by the way, step one in becoming a celebrity or a celebrity in your industry, is to find yourself a qualified coach. And so how do you craft your image and your brand? Well, I think about it in terms of this. And I think everyone watching, or listening rather, can relate to a doctor. You mentioned a doctor, or even someone that's selling real estate, luxury real estate. How do you expect a doctor to dress? How do you expect your real estate agent, who's going to sell you a $5 million home, to dress? Can you envision that in your mind?
I can, yes.
Yeah. So I always say, don't fight that. By the way, it's important to be unique, because that's also your unique selling proposition. Who are you? What makes you different? So I don't think anyone should be cookie cutter, but I think it entails what are the expectations of your audience within your field, within your industry? How do people dress, or expect people to dress? And follow along those lines. And then maybe you elevate it even further, or maybe you have a signature red glasses because you want to stand out, or you wear a bow tie, but you have to begin to craft your image, and it has to be, like I say, brand congruent. In other words, consistent, right? It should be that every time that I see this person, um, who's an entrepreneur, who's a business person, who's an expert, every time I see them on TV, every time I see them on a book cover, every time I see them on their website or on their social media, they are dressed a certain way, if you will. Now, obviously, if they're on vacation, that goes without saying, but I'm talking about crafting that image for your business, for your brand. And maybe it's a company color that they incorporate. Maybe their company color is red and black, so that every time you see them on camera, they're dressed with a red dress and with a red dress and a black scarf.
Yep.
So you just have to think about it in terms of, what is your brand? What is it that how do I want people to see me? Right? And then, I mean, think about this also. There's different businessmen and women. So think of a Mark Zuckerberg. I also use this example often. Mark Zuckerberg is obviously one of the most successful business people out there. Yeah.
Yep.
Would we say?
That is correct.
And that's correct. And so he's also very well known. But Mark Zuckerberg, you'd be hard pressed to see him dressed in a business suit, right?
Yeah. Until unless he goes for some official, what kind of official discussions, right? Where he would be dressed in a business suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I've only seen him dressed that way once. I believe he was addressing Congress. So he was addressing the US government, I think, right? And so that is the only time that I've actually seen him dressed in a suit, right? And so he is kind of that t-shirt and jeans person. Steve Jobs, God rest his soul, right? He was also t-shirt and jeans, also undoubtedly one of the most influential business people of our time. And so he also was not dressed in a suit. But so it's about crafting who are you? If you're a t-shirt and jeans person, then that is a part of your brand. And then people expect that. Steve Jobs was always dressed in a black t-shirt and it was like black jeans or black slacks.
Yeah.
Right? Jeans. And so you come to expect that. It's a part of your brand. It was a part of his brand. And so knowing your brand and going with it. So if you are a person where you're in a networking event and you're always dressed in a suit, there's no reason why when you do a podcast interview and it's an interview on video, or when you decide to do business videos, or when you decide that you're a guest on a TV show, for you to show up in a t-shirt and jeans, that doesn't make sense. That is incongruent with your brand.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And so it's about crafting your brand and showing up that way every time.
Okay.
And that helps to seal your celebrity.
It's like consistency also. So
consistency,
Today, when there are individuals who are coming out of college and they are coming out of thinking of building their careers, whether it's in acting or whether it's in a corporate setup, do you advise that they should have a coach, or they should probably work and then get a coach? What's your perspective towards getting a coach? Because you did say the first step is get a coach.
Yeah.
So what is
I do believe that.
Okay. So is it day one out of college they should have a coach?
Listen, I would say day one in college. Okay. When I was in college, I hired a coach, believe it or not. And I didn't hire him for long. It was like a 3 or 6 month program. And I had goals in mind that I wanted to see come to fruition. And by the way, and I still have them in my journal. And not only did I have my goals in front of me, I exceeded my goals. I had a goal of when I wanted to graduate. I had a goal of when I wanted to start graduate school. I had a goal, so many goals. And so I knew that I could craft them on my own, but I hired a coach specifically just to kind of keep me as a reminder, if that makes sense. And it was simple. It was like 3 months, twice a month. I'd jump on a call with this person, and it was very short. It was like a 30-minute call, but it was like a reminder. Okay, Adel, what are we working on right now? Okay, how's the thesis coming along? How are these classes? How's the relationship with your professor that you're going to later on ask to do an internship with, who, by the way, if you don't do that internship, you probably won't get into Columbia. How are these things coming along? And so a coach can also hold you accountable and remind you, like, okay, this is the direction that we're going in. So I would encourage people to start your goals off, write them down, and then hire a coach. You can wait, of course, till after college, but I would even just your last year in college
Okay.
to help you along. And at the very least, once you graduate. And, it's important because you also want to have a professional image. One of the things that happens once you graduate college is, no matter if especially if you're going to the corporate world, you want to come across as professional, have a professional image. You want to craft, you need to craft your resume. You need to make sure that you're dressing the part. So you want your resume to reflect a professional image. You want to be able to have a good, strong cover letter. Once you go to interview, you want to have your interview skills up to par. And I coach people on that too. My second book goes into this a lot because I was in pharma for a couple of years, and I broke into that business, and I wrote a book about that. But it's a great book about getting into the corporate world, if I'm honest. And so that's a great book to read about that. But yeah, your resume, your image, your skill set, how you present yourself during the interview. And now a lot of folks and a lot of corporations are doing virtual interviews. So then it's, how do you put yourself together on camera for a virtual interview? It's not, so, thinking about, do you know the person on the other end that's interviewing you? Researching the company. There's so many things that needs to consider. But yes, hiring a coach is the good stuff.
Okay. Now you've trained 14,000 people. It's not even 100. It's like 14,000 people. That's a lot.
Over many years,
Yes.
over a good period of years. But
Definitely.
yeah.
Are there moments which you remember which have like kind of etched in your heart and say, that's why I do what I do today? And
Oh my gosh. Do you know that no one has ever asked me that on an interview?
Maybe that's the
I love this question. And I do, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I probably have a few of those moments, but I remember, at the same time that I was working as an actress, I was a corporate trainer. So one day I would do a soap opera, the next day I'd be teaching public speaking and presentation skills. Another, right? And so like in an 8-hour format to nurses or to orthopedic surgeons, or I'd be teaching team building to high school principals and teachers. And so I remember, I was teaching a group of professionals I had a contract with a medical center. And I just, there's so many things, but I remember distinctly, one was I do these personality inventories, and I do them with my one-on-one clients. And one of the students in the class, who's a parent, said to me, I used this inventory that you taught me, and it really helped. It helped me, the last class you taught, along with the personality inventory. She said, it really helped me with my child at home. Wow. She's like, I wasn't expecting that.
Okay.
And that's, by the way, that's what I said, because I'm not even a parent. I'm still not.
Yes.
I'm an auntie,
yeah.
right? I have nieces and a nephew, but, and I've taught children as well. So I have that, but so that was impactful. But I've had people come to me after class and cry, but like tears of joy. They've written me letters saying how impactful my work has been with them. I've had times where I'm doing a 4 or 8 hour. I remember once I was doing this 8-hour session. I would regularly do 4 and 8 hour straight workshops for corporations as a corporate trainer. And I remember this one time I left the session, and I just said to myself, I honestly felt guided. I called a friend of mine who's also a speaker. I said, has this ever happened to you? Because I felt guided. Like guided from God. Yes. Like every question that I was asked, I had the right answer for. I felt like I was able to touch people in a way that just felt right. And I had a lot of great feedback. And that's happened multiple times, but I can distinctly remember that session and I left, and it's just, I felt great. And so yeah, I feel if you touch one life, that um, that it's impactful. I did a podcast last week, and I had the person, someone reach out to me, and she said, "I don't know if you believe in God. I don't know if you're a Christian." She sent me an email, and she said, "But what you had to say to me, I needed to hear today. And so God bless you and thank you." And I got goosebumps. I cried. It's really beautiful. So I say, if I touch one person, if one person hears the message that they need to hear to be inspired, to move forward, to get up because maybe they've fallen, I've done my job.
Beautiful said,
Yeah.
beautifully said. And would that be your advice
Thank you.
to people, that what they do is with that kind of a passion that they touch? Like, what will be your advice be to coaches or
Yeah.
individuals who are thinking about being a coach, trainers, celebrity, you know,
Yeah.
what
Oh
will
my God.
your
Yeah.
advice be to them?
There's 7 steps in my program, and I didn't obviously go through all of them. There's so much to cover, but the 7th step is the most divine step, which is called make a difference.
Hmm.
Because I say you don't want to be a celebrity just to be known and to promote your brand, because it's not all about you. It's about what you can share with the world. What impact can you make? What charity can you direct eyes, viewership to that will make an impact and make a difference in the world? Who can you donate your time, your monies to? Who can you direct your audience to say, this is a really important nonprofit organization that let's shed some light on this. Let's talk about this issue.
Hmm.
Let's talk about whatever the issue is. Let's bring people together. Unity, whatever it is, you should have your message. But it's about, now once you have a platform, right? It's about, you
Yep.
have a platform now as a celebrity. In other words, people know you. You have a podcast, you have a show, you have a voice.
Hmm.
Do good with that voice, is what I say. And don't do things for the money. I think you should do things because you love it, do things because you're passionate, do things because you feel like you have a gift.
Yep.
Having a coaching business is not easy. Running any business is not easy, but you have to do everything that you do with love, with passion. And if you in your mind could do something, and if you could say, you know what, if I were a millionaire and I didn't have to get paid, would I still do this? And the answer is yes, you're on the right path.
Beautiful. No, Adele, on that particular
Thank you.
point, thank you. This has been, I would say, a guided conversation from somewhere, which you and I or
Thank
no one
you.
can understand how that happens. But thank you for your
I agree. I agree.
yeah, and thank you for your time. And I know you are super busy with everything you do. Best of luck, and I'm sure a lot of people will subscribe or buy a book, and I hope they do, to understand
Yeah.
those 7 steps. Or they can
Yes.
reach out to you for, let's say if people want to reach out to you, how they go about doing it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you for asking. By the way, I do agree this has been a guided conversation. I feel the energy. You have a beautiful presence around you. I can sense that. Not to get woo woo, as they say,
Yeah.
but right. But thank you for having me.
Mhm.
I appreciate you taking this time with me. And yes, your viewers can, your subscribers can follow me on my Instagram. That's where I oftentimes live. So at Adel Wilson TV.
Mhm.
I'm also on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn at Adel Wilson MA,
Okay.
like masters, the MA.
Mhm.
And I'd also like to give them a gift. If you allow me, I'd love to give the gift of my book for free.
Oh, nice.
And all they need to do, yeah. So if you're in the US, you can text the word media, MEDIA
Mhm.
101 to 33777, media 101 to 33777. And then you just follow the prompts and you'll get a free copy of my book in your email inbox. So celebrity media secrets for all of you. So you can follow all the 7 steps.
Thank you for that. And I'm sure my listeners would be all excited about it, and they'll be really happy to have that book.
Absolutely. Or feel free to send me an email or go on my website, www.adelwilson.com. You can see my information there. You can follow me or send me an email as well and let me know how you're doing. I'm curious to see if anyone out there is following any of the 7 steps. And I always love to hear emails. And my best of luck to everyone listening. God bless and hang in there during this crazy world that we're living in. But you know what? It's important to focus on the positive, and I'm sure good things will come your way.
Definitely, and I'm sure that message will send a lot of positivity to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please, you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.